President Trump's August 1st tariff deadline is tomorrow, with last-minute trade deals coming in with South Korea and other countries. And here for more on this is Rod Martin, the founder and CEO of Martin Capital. We appreciate your time today, Rod. Did President Trump's stance that the tariff deadline would not be extended cause the last-minute deals in America's favor to come through?
Absolutely. And Donald Trump has been talking about his negotiating strategy in print, in New York Times bestsellers since 1987. He had the top-rated show on American television for 13 years, all about negotiation. I don't know why anybody is surprised by how he's operating. And of course he's getting results. We have gotten fantastic results with every country we've struck a deal with. And the countries that don't strike a deal before tomorrow are probably going to regret that decision. He'll keep negotiating, but the deal's only going to get worse from here.
Okay, Rod, so will the $315 billion fund that South Korea agreed to be used like a sovereign wealth fund? Can you explain what that would mean for the average American?
It would be interesting to see exactly how that develops. The president has not been especially robust in describing his thoughts on a sovereign wealth fund. But the bigger point here is the almost $10 trillion in foreign investment now coming into the United States because of this administration, just since the end of January. It's really extraordinary. And you see the energy purchases in the South Korean deal, in the Japanese deal, in the EU deal. In the EU's case, you're talking about $750 billion of energy purchases over the next 3 years. And if you do the math on it, you realize that almost entirely displaces Europe's purchases from Russia and the Middle East. So it's really quite extraordinary for American security, for European security, certainly for Korean and Japanese, and certainly for American business.
All right, Rod, skeptics in the media sphere are questioning whether or not those energy deals that you mentioned will actually come to fruition. Are you confident they will?
I think so, and one of the reasons, again, is tariffs. You know, in the European case, especially, we've seen Europe spend twice as much on energy from Russia over the last 3 years of the Ukraine war than the money they've actually sent to Ukraine in aid. This is part of why the president has been so adamant that they pay for the weapons we're producing for Ukraine. But the energy purchases largely rectified the trade imbalance in most of these cases. That's going to be important for these countries if they'd like to get their tariff rates down even further. It's also going to be important as they realize that their security is greatly enhanced by an energy supply chain that runs from the United States and not from Russia or the Middle East.
Understood. Let's talk about Taiwan. They said that their negotiators are working on a framework for a deal with the U.S. Nothing yet. So what could that mean for reducing non-tariff trade barriers and securing supply chains?
I think it could be really good. And what we just saw with the opening of this new AI chip plant in Austin to produce the next generation of chips for Elon Musk's companies kind of shows the way. It would be beneficial to Taiwan Semiconductor in particular to be able to diversify out of Taiwan. I understand why they want to be there, obviously, but they need to not just be there because their plants are under imminent missile threat from the mainland at all times. And diversification should help their share price. It should help their security. And honestly, it should disincentivize China from trying to take Taiwan. If the prize isn't all in Taiwan, there's a lot less benefit to going to war to capture it.
Rod, I hear you. You mentioned the art of the deal. We've heard about that. Yeah, the book's out. It's been published. How, though, is Trump able to make these deals that are so lopsided in America's favor? Take South Korea, for example. 0% tariffs on American goods while they're paying double digits. And not only that, but we mentioned the $350 billion investment. What's more America first than that?
What Donald Trump and some others of us have long recognized that most of the punditocracy has not, is that America is 4% of global population, but 26% of global GDP. And we are a giant consumer market. We do export. We export a lot. We're about to export a lot more energy in particular, but we are mostly a consumer market, and all these other countries are export-driven economies. They have to sell to someone outside of their own country, and we are their most important market. So Donald Trump is simply leveraging that. The deals are pouring in. They're good deals. They will make everybody richer, including the people who are kind of getting the short end of the stick. And in South Korea's case, I don't think that's how it's really even going to work out, because I see us outsourcing a lot of shipbuilding and potentially naval shipbuilding to South Korea over the next 3 years. I think they're going to be very happy with the result.
Very interesting. Other side of the story. Will these lopsided deals, if they are lopsided, in your view, strain international relations with the U.S. in the long term?
Well, they aren't that lopsided. I mean, you have to understand the deals we have had have been ridiculous. A friend of mine did the math on the averages for other industrialized countries, supposedly our allies and trading partners, and found that on balance, they were charging us about 200 to 300% what we've been charging them. You know, one egregious example, of course, is India slapping 100% tariff on Harley Davidson, or Canada putting a 280% tariff on our dairy farmers. That doesn't mean they collect taxes. That means that they have embargoed those businesses from the United States. So Donald Trump opening up those markets to American goods is a huge win for them and for us. Yes, they're going to pay a little bit more, but that's going to help balance out the trade deficit. That's going to make everybody stronger.
Fascinating. Rob Martin, thank you for coming on.
Great to be here.